Have you ever heard a story so weird you had to check if it was true? Well, I've got one for you today that's totally wild. It's about a mysterious island, a bunch of hungry goats, and soldiers having a barbecue. Sounds like a strange cartoon, right? But this is a real story happening right now. We're going on an adventure to a place called Guadalupe Island. It's a tiny speck of land way out in the Pacific Ocean, and it belongs to Mexico. This isn't your typical sunny beach vacation spot. It's rugged, it's remote, and it's home to some of the most amazing animals on the planet, like giant great white sharks. This island has a big secret. It's a secret that involves thousands and thousands of goats. Now you might be thinking, what's so secret about goats on an island? Goats are pretty normal, but these aren't just any goats. These goats have been living on Guadalupe Island for a very long time, and they've caused a whole lot of trouble. By 1878, their population was a solid 60,000 plus. The island's special plants and animals have been struggling because of them, like the native Guadalupe palm and the island oak found only on the Channel Islands and this island. So, where do the soldiers come in? This is where the story gets even crazier. The Mexican military has a base on Guadalupe Island. You'd think they are there to protect the coast or do secret military stuff, and they probably do. But they also have another very unusual job. They help manage the goat problem, and one of the ways they do that is by eating them. I know, it sounds unbelievable. Soldiers are having goat tacos and goat stew to help save an entire ecosystem. It's one of the strangest but coolest conservation stories I've ever heard. In this adventure, we're going to dive deep into this story. We'll find out how the goats got to this remote island in the first place, because they certainly didn't swim there. Picture that. We'll explore the massive damage they caused over the years, turning a green paradise into a dusty landscape. Then, we'll uncover the full story of the military's mission and why eating goats became part of the plan to rescue Guadalupe Island. It's a story about ecology, history, and some very hungry soldiers. So grab your explorer's hat, because we're heading out to sea to solve the mystery of the Guadalupe Island goats. So, let's set the scene. Imagine you're on a boat, far off the coast of California and Mexico. For hours, all you see is the deep blue of the Pacific Ocean. Then, suddenly, a huge volcanic island appears out of the mist. That's Guadalupe Island. It's about 150 miles off the coast of Baja California, Mexico. It's super isolated, perfect for unique animals and plants to adapt and grow. The island is famous for a few things. 1, great white sharks. Divers come from all over for the super clear water. 2, Guadalupe fur seals. 3, northern elephant seals. These seals were hunted almost to extinction but are making a comeback. It's a sanctuary, a safe haven. Everything should live in a delicate balance, like a tower of blocks. But something knocked that tower over. The goats. Goats are not native to Guadalupe Island. They weren't part of the original plan. People brought them a long time ago in the 1800s. Whalers and sailors left goats as a living food source. If a ship wrecked or they needed meat later, the goats would be there. It seemed clever then, but it created a gigantic future problem. These goats were tough survivors. With no predators, their numbers exploded. A few goats became a few hundred, then a few thousand, until tens of thousands roamed the island. They ate everything in sight. They munched on rare endemic plants. They stripped hillsides bare. Soil washed into the ocean. The island, once covered in pine and cypress trees, started to look like a desert. The things that made Guadalupe special were being eaten, one bite at a time. As the goat population exploded, the island began to show signs of serious stress. The first victims were the plants. They ate the seedlings of the tall island pines and cypresses, preventing new trees from growing. Imagine a forest where all the old trees are still standing, but there are no young trees to replace them when they die. The goats were essentially eating the future of the forest. Unique species of flowers and shrubs were gobbled up until they were completely gone, driven to extinction. When the vegetation disappeared, the soil lost its anchor. When winter rains came, there was nothing to stop the water from washing away the topsoil. Huge amounts of dirt and mud flowed down the hillsides, creating massive gullies and canyons. The rich, dark soil was stripped away and dumped into the ocean, leaving behind barren, rocky ground. This environmental collapse had a domino effect on the native animals. The Guadalupe rock wren, a little bird found only on this island, went extinct. Other species, like the Guadalupe storm petrel, were also in big trouble because the erosion was destroying their nesting burrows. The entire food web was falling apart. The island was transforming from a green jewel into a dusty brown wasteland. What was once a vibrant ecosystem was becoming a goat-eaten desert. It was a slow-motion disaster, and scientists began to realize that if nothing was done, everything that made Guadalupe Island special would be lost forever. By the late 20th century, scientists were sounding a huge alarm. Guadalupe Island was dying. The goat population had spiraled completely out of control. The Mexican government and conservation groups knew they had to do something drastic. So, they decided to launch one of the most ambitious island restoration projects ever attempted. The main goal was simple: remove every single goat from Guadalupe Island. Even leaving a few goats behind would be a failure. It had to be all or nothing. This was a massive challenge. Remember, the island is rugged, with steep canyons and sharp volcanic rocks. The first step was to build a fence, a really long fence. They built it right across the middle of the island, cutting it in half. This huge conservation project needed a lot of help, and it came from a very unexpected place: the Mexican military. The Mexican Navy has a small base on the island. They became essential partners in the plan to save the island. The goats removed were used as a source of food. Nothing was wasted. Who helped eat all that goat meat? The soldiers at the military base. It was the perfect setup. They made goat stew, goat barbecue, and probably some amazing goat tacos. First, it saved a ton of money. The savings went back into the eradication project. Second, it saved fuel because it reduced long-distance food shipments. It took years of incredible effort, but the teams were successful. They managed to remove every single feral goat from Guadalupe Island. The last goat was finally removed on July 10, 2014. The fence that once divided the island has been taken down. The focus has now shifted from eradication to restoration and biosecurity. Almost as soon as the goats were gone, plants started to come back. A new generation of forest is being born. Hillsides, once bare and crumbling, are now a soft green carpet of native grasses and shrubs. Island flowers reappearing, some thought extinct. The Guadalupe junco, its population is slowly increasing. The island is breathing again, a living testament to a crazy plan that worked. Okay, so after hearing this whole incredible story, you might be thinking, wow, Guadalupe Island sounds so cool. Most trips are on dive boats, where you live on the boat for several days. Your journey would start by traveling to Ensenada, Mexico, which is the main port where the shark diving boats leave from. The boat trip is the big one. You should expect to pay at least $2,000 to $3,000 per person. So, for one person, a quick one night at the island trip could easily cost around $2,500. You won't find any hotels on Guadalupe Island itself. The only hotel is your cabin on the boat. It's an all-in-one adventure package, but one that you definitely need to save up for. It's a lesson about how fragile our planet can be, but also how resilient it is. It shows that with a clever plan, a lot of hard work, and some surprising teamwork, we can turn back the clock on destruction. It's a sanctuary for animals like the great white shark and the Guadalupe fur seal. It's a place where unique plants and unique birds found nowhere else on Earth have been given a second chance at life. It's a story that proves that heroes can come in all forms, from the scientists who make the plans to the soldiers who cook and eat the goat stew. The island is breathing again, and that's a story worth telling. This has been Jason, your tour guide. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. And remember, it's always time to travel.